1717.
1991.
Woo!
Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
That's really bad. Maybe we should cut that too.
As you can tell, we're not singers, but we are unofficial commentators of things we don't know about. And as you can see, we're also...
We give ourselves a new name every podcast.
We also are in person today, so I can touch them. You can see we're here. We're
It's a green screen. It's a green screen.
Professional CGI.
We
Paid
actually
for
know
by
each other.
the Holmes Foundation.
Not a sponsor though. Not a sponsor. We're working on it. Working on some deals.
Anywho, today we are discussing the World War I film titled appropriately 1917, directed by Shawn Mendes. I'm just kidding. It's his
Sam Mendes.
It's his brother Sam. Sam Mendes, with a box office of I scrolled too far.
That's why we do our notes beforehand, folks.
Oh, there we go. So it had a budget of 95 million.
Thank you for that, Thomas.
And its worldwide gross was 384 million. So I'll say it once, I'll say it again. That's a good ROI.
That's pretty good. I think it might have been higher if it wasn't during like COVID time.
This wasn't during COVID time.
I don't think it was during COVID time.
Well, there's your answer.
I was like, I think it's...
This was in 2019, my guy.
All right.
Ryan's a little shell shocked right now.
You see, because of the
Ninja
war.
Turtles?
It's a marketing thing. It's a war.
It's just helping her.
Right. Yeah.
Anywho, yeah, I'm just... First off, I'll start off with the first
I don't know
thought
what's going on.
right here, right now.
Give it to us, Thomas.
I appreciate that this was a film about World War One. I feel like World War One's often overlooked because all the war films are usually like World War Two or like Vietnam or Korea or something. So
cold.
Korea.
No, that's true. I think a lot of things get... Oh, I'm thinking myself. I like World War II more than World War I.
World War II.
Because it makes it feel... I feel like World War II feels more... Like, even though, like... So, World War II was in, like, the 40s, right? And this is, like, 1917. There's only, like, 20-ish years that separated the two. But World War II feels so much more advanced than World War I.
Like, it feels like just, like, the bigger... Like, it's, like, World War I almost, like, it's, like, the prelude to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the part one.
It was, like, first half. And then World War II is actually second half. 20 years
Well,
later.
I mean, it was. Like, Hitler was served in World War I.
Right. And then he became the world power leader.
Yeah. That's part of Germany's rise. And should we just have a history lesson real quick?
Dude, I love history, my guy.
What actually happened in 1917, Thomas?
The movie? Or the year?
No, as far as...
Was
Because it ended in 1918.
Wilson was president, I believe.
World War Uno. Let's look this up a little bit. So it started July 28th, 1914 and ended November 11th, 1918. And I know, so what I remember from history classes, I don't remember a lot, but I do remember.
What I remember is that I don't remember anything.
My history teacher.
This is our authority figure, right?
My history teacher said there was like a lot of dominoes kind of that were falling, and the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the thing that set everything off. She called it, and I quote, the Balkan powder keg, because you're saying it was like.
I remember that hearing that.
Yeah, the powder keg. It was just like there was so much volatility, and then the assassination was like the spark that ignited it.
The spark heard around the world.
Don't shoot till you see the white of their eyes. Well, that was like 1800s, 1700s.
So let's see how many deaths and whatnot there were. So, okay. So casualties and losses.
Fact check here.
Yeah.
If we're wrong, well, we're wrong.
Wow. Okay. So it says, okay. So wait, what the? Okay. So it's hard because it has on both sides. It doesn't have the totals overall. So the military.
So you go to Wikipedia, folks.
5, 9.
He's doing the math in his head right now as we speak.
Basically,
he's counting. He's the official counter of World War I deaths. 100 years later.
Brought to you by
people in the military. About 10 million died. And then you look at civilian deaths, and there was another like 8 or 9 million. But that's also hard too because of how. It's like it was World War I, so obviously like the
everything's just an estimate too. Like it's
and so no one knows.
Yeah.
How do you know? You know?
Yeah.
Well, so you see in the movie, there's just bodies on bodies, just in these like
an entire city. Just
how realistic do you think that is?
Obliterated.
Like, do you think there's actually like bodies just everywhere on a battlefield if you're in war?
Well, especially for that, like they had trench warfare, so they're basically just like set up, and then they were just bomb. Like the middle ground, it felt was just like literally just a wasteland.
I cannot imagine how terrifying it would be to be in a trench. And just have like bullets flying over your head, and like then like the gas attacks where the gas sinks down into the trench, so like weeds everyone out.
Trench
Everything
warfare
like that.
sounds terrible. Like out
Yeah,
of all,
and the dead bodies down there, and then you get
It
infected.
stinks and
Everyone gets sick, and there's even more death that happens probably from that than actually getting shot.
that's true. Well, because I think
everything
too, like
spreads.
I remember learning like about like the people like would
It's
get
crazy.
shell shocked, like that
Yeah.
term. That it's like they get bombed all night, and people would start going crazy just because it was
Yeah,
like just the loud intensity of it.
I've seen a few episodes of Band of Brothers, and like that's one thing that happens. Like there's one episode where this guy starts just screaming at night, and he's like giving away their position, and like their own team had to kill him because he was too loud.
Have you guys seen the picture of the guy in Shell
It's
Shock?
crazy.
Like the most famous one?
Just adjust them like you're done. My goodness. For those watching on the YouTube,
I'm gonna try to. I can't. There's no. It's gonna look good.
it's gonna look so bad.
Wow, creepy.
But he's just like. He looks literally insane. Like you can tell there's nothing in his head right now.
We're just grateful we didn't have to fight World War One. Thank you to those who did.
Well, and the crazy thing is too is like there's so much new technology and weaponry in World War One that became banned after World War One. Like gas was one of them, and I think that's what's it. There was like something else, but gas was the big one. I remember the gas got banned in warfare after that. Like it like was the beginnings of like the Geneva Conventions, basically.
Really? Is it crazy to think that it's like we already passed the 100-year mark of since World War One? Like I just
That's
like don't
wild.
like actually like
There
we're
are
gonna
very
be.
there are very few people that are alive that were alive during that time.
Yeah.
It's like we're just
And
don't like that.
no one that fought.
Well, because
is still
wasn't a
alive.
couple years ago like the last survivor of the Titanic wasn't like was just died or whatever.
Oh, she was like a baby on the Titanic.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that, wasn't there?
right.
I don't know her like count as a survivor.
Well, yeah, but
You
well,
don't?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
No, you're a baby. Nothing counts. We're only going to save the women and children, but you don't count.
No, like obviously, like what I'm saying is like I want to hear like the story of like how they survived.
Gotcha.
And, like,
Well, I mean, yeah, they're obviously lying. I mean, but it's like
I'm sure they hear from their parents. It's not like there's not a story.
I know, but it's not the same thing. They don't remember. I want to like
he wants someone.
I want like
there.
the details from. It's not the same, my guy.
He wants the lady from Titanic. That's what he wants.
Man, you're not wrong.
Anyways, World War One.
Yeah, this movie, right?
Oh,
let's talk
Let's
about
go
this
back.
movie.
Let's go back to the movie. So we talked a little about trench warfare. That just I do think so. How well do you think the movie captured that then? That specific part of.
I thought it was pretty well. I don't know like what trench warfare
That's
looks
true, I
like in
guess,
real life,
but
but I would imagine that. I just can't fathom how much they have to like dig those trenches out. Like how long it takes to do that because they're everywhere. The trenches are literally everywhere.
Well, they're also what like 6-7 feet deep.
Yeah.
they gotta be well. I mean,
Dig it up.
I'm sure.
Oh,
Yeah, but I
dig
mean,
it
like, yeah, I mean,
holes, baby. You gotta just get all those people digging those holes.
dig it up.
Dig it.
Dig it up.
I mean, it probably could go pretty fast with that many people, but still, like.
But like if you're being
that'd be
fired upon
terrible.
while you're trying to dig too.
Yeah, and then like preparing for war, and like that kind of gives away their position and everything that happens, and they learn where certain
They
places
just
are.
dig in, and you're just.
That is just such a unique aspect of World War One. Is like the trenches.
It's so interesting, like how people fight over land, and like over time, like we have fought less and less about land and more about like politics and like who's right.
It needs to become more ideas rather
Yeah.
than
actually
interesting,
land,
than like
because all the land's basically taken. Basically, Ukraine, right?
That's a perfect example of disproving that exact theory.
But I'm saying
Well,
like
I
there's
think
no more.
it's
There's no
more
more
about-
free land. Like
Well, there's no
Like-
more free land in 1817.
there's still places.
Where?
Well, we still
well, I
acquired.
guess not,
We still
he's
acquired.
right because it's
We
like
They were in
still
France.
acquired like Puerto Rico.
No,
we still,
no. Go back to World War One. They're fighting in France. What land were they taking? That wasn't over land.
well, I guess with Europe, there's no.
Well, in the end, that's what they're. That's the goal of like
Was
what
it?
Germany and
They want to take back other land in Europe.
yes,
Yeah, but people still fight over that.
not as much. I don't think it's as much.
That's ridiculous.
It's also because we haven't had a world war since then.
I would arguably say, well, what do you think North is the Korean War
What about
was?
what about
That was literally
that was
spikes
actually
with North and South
overland.
Korea.
what about Israel? What about Israel, Ryan?
I think the more we
Idiot.
talk, Ryan, I think I agree with Thomas. Though, actually, maybe that's void.
Thoughts for your thoughts.
It sounded better in the
Just think about
beginning,
it.
and now it's just
Just think
starting
about
to
It
crack.
sounded
It started
intelligent, and it
cracking.
wasn't. It sounded intelligent, and it wasn't.
Because literally, yeah, like,
Oh,
Germany literally just was
speaking
spreading.
of someone who's intelligent, before I forget, Marin, we see you. We love
We
you.
appreciate you. We're grateful for your
Thank
views.
you for watching. Thank
We're
you for
sorry we didn't
listening,
shout you out
whatever use.
earlier.
You are loved. You are appreciated, and you are seen, Marin.
Also, Trevor,
You
just
are
because
heard.
you're there.
I don't know if Trevor watches this, but
Trev,
we
no,
do
get
love
Trevor on this.
Hey,
That's
Marin, we're gonna pause. Go get Trevor. Hi, Trevor. How you doing?
Trevor's good to see you.
Oh,
Let's play Fortnite sometime.
oh my gosh.
Rocket League or what?
Quick shout out. Quick shout out.
So World War One.
So back to World War
One.
One. I had a thought, but I don't remember what.
Can we talk about the certain
some
scenes in the show, like the plane scene?
Wait, can we can we lead up with the cinematography in general?
Yeah, because there's a specific style to this.
Okay, go for it.
The rat. Oh, the rat.
No, well, just it's so it's well, yeah. Tom, explain.
Explain. You like it most.
I
think he appreciates it.
I love cinematography. I really do appreciate cinematography a lot. So this movie is really unique in the sense that it tries to. I don't think it succeeded. I think they technically have cuts in it, but they tried to film it so it looked like it was all done in one take, which is very, very impressive. Which means like it's like you get a lot of cool camera angles and it follows you along, which is very impressive.
It really is.
I will say this though, there were times where I was a little confused for a second because like right after the plane scene, when there's like no one there, and then all of a sudden they pan over, there's like a bunch of people there. It's like, whoa, you got to remember that like this like quote unquote the transition of them like going from like by themselves to being with other people.
They had to do it somehow. It was pretty subtle, but like
it was good though.
All those people just appeared out of nowhere.
For making it look like it, I think it did really well.
Because I mean, you can't film that in one day. There's no way.
Right.
No.
I thought another interesting concept of the show was like they fit like more than a day's worth of time in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's true. No, that isn't.
It was surprisingly short too. It was only 2 hours, I think.
No, it was a little under. Well, I think to connect that back to the trench, that was my thought I had earlier. Is that I like the idea of since they had that long shot, is they could literally follow through the trenches, and that gave it really a realistic like scope where I was like, oh, it's cool to be like he goes through the whole line of people all the way.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I thought that was a cool.
McKinley!
The treacherous.
McKinley!
Where is he? Where's McKinley? Where's McKinley?
Oh, he's further down every single time.
I was like, what is he gonna?
McKinley's too important.
Freaking Benedict.
We're not stopping the attack.
There's Benedict.
I was
like,
it's gonna be bad. He's mean to him. Hey, he's been hardened by warfare, Thomas.
Thomas, it's more than what he.
Doctor Strange
This
is
is
back
before.
in time.
So what was your Doctor Strange?
Right?
Time stone.
Oh, for the plane.
Fan theory. Time stone.
He's actually saving the world.
Everything's not connected to the MCU. I get it.
But it could be.
But it is.
You just find Disney. Disney will do it. All right. Sorry. What were you saying?
What were you saying?
No, what were you saying?
About the plane? Should we talk about the plane scene?
Let's talk about the plane. What was your favorite scene, Ryan?
My favorite scene?
This is me leading you on. Insert comment here.
My favorite scene.
It doesn't say plane would be bad.
My favorite scene that probably drew the most emotion and just like made you think the most was when he found not the mother, but the lady in the basement with the baby.
What's the baby?
Because it's just like this lady found this baby in the middle of nowhere and chose to take care of it. And he just so happened, by an act of God, had milk for the baby. Like everything that goes around and revolves around that situation is just like that is kind of what.
Can I just say for a second how gross do you think that milk was?
Probably disgusting.
In the canteen.
Well, he was like shoveling out too, but it's like you're so hungry.
No, sorry.
Yeah,
act of God, it was beautiful. It was a miracle.
Loved the scene.
But like, if you think about that, like this lady just had to stay there, and that's what happened.
And
like,
that's why you wanted to.
And there's no way she could have gotten out of the city.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Or done anything because it's just war happening around. And she's stuck in a basement. What do you do?
Yeah.
Nothing. And then there's this baby that could give away your position or anything.
That's
you
true.
could die.
Well, I like how it's like war is always. I mean, it's like two sides fighting, but it's like everyone's human in there.
Right.
Like I just like the deeper humanity of it. It's like
well, it's like too when he was trying to save that German guy, the German soldier,
right?
Yeah,
and then he
killed him.
literally stabbed him in the back.
Truly,
spoiler alert.
Truly inhumane. Like that's something I can't fathom people doing. But like if you're that German pilot, that's what you should do. Like you should kill him.
That's like under your orders. You're like, what's your?
Well, it's not only orders, but it's also like you don't know what they're thinking.
Right. You don't know if they're going to take you.
Two versus one.
Take you as
that's
like.
true. If they're like, oh, we'll help you. And they torch you or something. It's like.
Get more information out of you for more.
It's
details,
that weird like.
Which happens. Like that happens.
Yeah.
That's true. No, it's definitely. We saw it like the carry a little bit more of that interrogation aspect of war.
Yeah. Trust
prisoner of war and stuff. And
I just honestly I don't think I can fathom war. Like I don't think I can. I don't think it's like one of those things where I feel like you don't really understand it until you're in it. And like I'm fascinated by like war stories and like people who like are in the military. Like obviously, like I have a greater appreciation for them from movies like this. But I've heard that they say like it's a really interesting combination because it's like you're preparing, training, and then all that training comes in like a blink of an eye. And it's like gone really fast too. So like all this prep work, all this training, all this like knowledge is only used for like a short amount of time. It's just like there's people.
It's for those life and death situations.
And like there's people in the National Guard that like get deployed, but they just don't ever like I don't know like they don't ever see combat, but they're doing other roles that they're fulfilling.
So crazy.
It's bonkers.
That's probably one of my greatest fears though is having to go to war.
That's
and
true.
Then just being there, like in the
Well,
battlefield.
you're
on the
signed
front
up. You're
lines.
signed up to the draft, my guy.
I am signed up for the draft.
So are you, my guy. So am I, my guy. If you're
But-
government, if you're watching, we're all signed up.
But that's kind of just like the thing though. Like I don't know what war is.
Well, it's
and
like-
I don't know what type of trauma that brings.
We've-
It's
we've-
crazy.
The PTSD, because like they didn't like mental health was not understood at all, and like we're barely
Yeah,
understanding
in
it now.
comparison, yeah.
And I mean, yeah, no, so I mean, we have our own set of issues, but I mean, like we're so blessed and prosperous.
Oh
Like
yeah.
to be like
It's
to live where we
incredible.
live right now. I mean, like to not like to live through. Well, the thing too is like living through this pandemic. I mean, like to mention 1917. I mean, what was it, 1819 was the bird flu, the Spanish.
Yeah.
Influenza.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
12.
the Spanish influenza.
No,
No, it was
during World-
right after World War
Was
One.
it? I thought it was during World War One.
No, because I think it was like towards the end of it, because when people were sending home, that was a big.
Oh,
cause of
you're
the
right.
spread.
You're right. So it's probably 1918 to 1920.
But it's like imagine living through like a war, you know, depression, the influenza, another world war. Like it's like
All within 15 years.
Well, then the Dust Bowl was that right after that.
true. Yeah, it's like
And then they entered World War II.
I know all that top of that.
You know what though? Okay, this
I'm
is weird,
grateful.
though. World War II is what got the U.S.
Well.
out of the Depression, though,
It's true. It did.
which is a weird
Thank you, Ford.
blessing. Sponsored. Ford, go places. Thomas Toyotas.
We're going places.
Built.
It's
Oh,
Toyota.
sorry. Built Ford tough. Built Ford tough.
Strong.
Built strong, isn't it?
Built Ford.
I don't remember what it is.
I
F1.
love Ford. Ford's our
F-
favorite brand.
Buy the F-150.
Oh, Ford. Yikes!
Woof.
Yikes!
Oh man.
So what? I'm trying to think what else was I saying.
Can we go back into the psychology of the movie? Just like how lonely he would have felt, just like running from troop to troop, trying to figure out where to go, what he's supposed to do, where he's
That's
supposed
what.
to be.
How did he
How
know where
al-
it was?
How alone? Like I can't comprehend I can't comprehend war itself, but like the loneliness he would have felt, because like usually you have the camaraderie
You know,
and your
yeah,
brothers to like push you along, but
It's like your messenger. You came
Well,
to someone else.
And can you imagine like
died.
the mental
Yeah.
stress too, knowing that like if you die or if you get injured, like you're sending a whole battalion to their deaths.
Mhm.
yeah,
Like, can you imagine like that?
That's a lot of weight on your.
Yeah.
and you're gonna be the one who has to tell their parents, hey, your son didn't make it, your daughter didn't make it, or whatever.
That's
There was no
sad.
daughters back
I,
then.
I think
Back then.
I think the whole aspect of like communication was just so like I mean
Yeah,
we've mostly
that's
grown
the-
up with smartphones,
yeah,
us, but it's just like it's so fascinating to be like
receiving a letter
you're
They
literally
had to
sending
send
it
a
word
courier-
of mouth.
3 to 6 months later, you know.
Yeah, that's it's bonkers. It's like you don't know like even like the guy who sent the commands,
Mm.
like they don't know if they got it. You know.
He's just hoping,
It's like-
and it's like
Well, yeah.
well, I think so. One part I liked, or like the idea of it was just like I think how much stronger like your word was back then, because I was just like, how would they trust? It's like, but why would a soldier come all the way risking his life, so convicted that like this, and he has the letter too, so it's like, but it's like I just
Right.
the trust of that of just like word of like, oh, this is what the general said, you know what I mean? But it's just like that's
Well, he
they
had a
just
letter.
had to-
Didn't he have a letter?
he
from
did
them?
have a letter,
It's
so
a
it's like,
signed letter, but still, like he.
but
he
it's
got-
just
it
the
took a lot of
reliability. It's
convincing
just
to,
interesting
like,
to like we can fact check things because it's like written. It's like in
Yeah.
law. It's legal. We can see it. We can send it. You
Yeah.
can talk, radio,
Like,
phone. Like
that guy's whole job is not even needed anymore, right?
Yeah, you're just
He
like-
just sent a text. He's like, "Hey, we don't need to go
Hey,
across the lines anymore.
Hey, BRB.
No more movie."
hey, BT Dub. So I was talking to the Germans. Yeah, they're gonna.
So my guy.
We actually called off this attack months ago. You don't know it, but here we are.
Germans are low-key cracks. They're trying to ambush us. So just
Yeah.
let's hold off.
And that just proves like the medical and technological advancements we've had in just 100 years.
Well, even like comparing World War One to World War Two
Whoa.
is bonkers.
Whoa.
Like 20-ish years. Look at the airplanes compared in World War One to World War Two. Like
true,
that's
man.
it's nuts.
Which brings out another great point. Like, would we be where we are today without those world wars? Like,
Did they advance technology further?
I
than
think they propelled. Good word there. They
the
propelled
plane. It's the whole thing.
technology more than they hurt them. I think it would have taken way longer, and then we might not have like commercial airplanes like we do.
because of
We wouldn't have found them as quickly.
When did the
for
Wright
sure.
brothers fly their plane first?
late 1800s,
1902, 1901, 1898.
early 1900s, late 1800s. I'm sticking with my. What is it? I'm curious. I'm curious.
1903.
Yeah, 1903.
That was 1 year.
So that's pretty crazy though to think that like 1903 the plane was invented and then they're having freaking dog fights in
I know,
World War
seriously.
like a decade later.
It's wild.
good stuff.
People pump money. What people pump money into really grows fast.
Dogecoin, am I right?
Yeah, I knew it was him.
Shout out. Money makes the world go round.
30% down in one day.
Okay, what do we think about like as far as like more movie standpoint, like acting? We talked about cinematography, or acting,
Ooh,
score, like
I
stuff like that.
I thought okay, I don't know their names. I'm sorry. The guy that
I don't know their names.
the actor's name, I don't know.
That's another one of my points. We'll get to that.
What's that?
oh,
What do you say?
okay. I would say I thought like how pale he got after he was stabbed.
Oh my
was incredible. And I don't know. I feel like
They did that all in one take. Well, they technically panned away for a second and showed him, and then they showed him getting stabbed coming back, and then he went out.
yeah.
That's true. That was a good.
So they must
clever.
have done something within that.
Well, I think it's cool too to think like I don't know. I thought like the two main soldier dudes. I thought they had really good acting. I thought it was pretty realistic. Like because I think like for example like when he cuts his arm or his hand on the barbed wire. And
For whatever reason, that was one of the things that bothered me. Like,
and then
I
he,
just
when he
hate that.
stuck his hand inside the body after that.
he didn't mean to, but like I feel like the look on his face is like he's like shoot like, but like he's in like go mode because they're like dead or no man's land, you know.
Yeah.
So, like I can't worry about this now. So I feel like as far as I know, I feel like it looked pretty accurate to me, like between the two of them.
I think I did really good. I just like the idea of trying to charge through like all that, just like this is so like probably first world problems, but like just the discomfort. It's like you're just going through like muddy, dirty, bloody, like no food, no like you get your hand caught in some wire, like you're just going through carrying this gun, like you know how just like what a terrible condition you're in, like
yeah.
And then
the likelihood of death is so high.
I just think that just would. I'm like those guys are just true.
Well, I feel like too like they felt like I feel like they had a good relationship, like they were buddies with each other a little bit, like they were able to joke around, like chat, like I feel like that's
their little
too.
Stories. His ear off.
The
like
rat.
They grow together, you know, like
no, it's true.
Yeah.
A quick note on that. I had my notes written when the tunnel scene when the rat blew up. That just that like the claustrophobia and like the prospect of like being buried at like that would just that got to me a little bit. I was kind of like tense up a little. I'm like, ooh.
And he was the one that saved his life and then ended up dying. And that's like, whoa, like the fact.
Just all that
like,
quick. I know that quick little. He saved his life and then went. Because I'm like for a second, like he couldn't even hear me. Like he called his name and I was like, shoot, did he die? Like.
Well, I didn't. Even the other
the two main characters that quickly.
I mean, like even the other dude died so fast. I felt.
Cool, because then he got like dust in his eyes too, and he's like, I can't see. He's like, you just have to jump. You have to trust me. Go now. Like that's like you're literally just acting. I'm like, misstep, die, or like.
And I can just imagine too. Like I've helped like tear down drywall before, and like it gets really dusty. Because I can just like picture just like because you can't see it, like, and it gets in like your mouth, and then you like drink water, like spit it out, like it's all globbed up from the dust.
It's like that's the kind of condition he's in. He's running for his life.
Standing,
his eyes are burning. Like he's just like he literally can't go, and that's just like. That's war right there, and
that's Dallas.
I can't fathom.
Yikes!
Going back to the not knowing the soldier's name, I felt like that was going to come up because like they say his name I think a couple times, but like how much that's done in history by people we just don't know their names.
That's true.
Yeah,
I thought that's accurate.
Yeah, it's about like the no-name soldier. What's the thing they do always in Arlington?
The grave of the unmarked soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with you on that. I feel like too like
mad respect.
There's probably a lot of stuff in history where it's like I don't know, like there's so many like moving parts and
the little key influences, like every piece of the puzzle is important.
Yeah.
But we need every piece of the puzzle to finish it, right?
That's true.
Pretty crazy.
Just a couple messengers going. No, it's fine. No, I loved like I said, I think just overall the movie, I just like the realism and like the atmosphere of it. It just kept a good tone of like
good ambience,
which I think helped with the camera angles and stuff. That it's just like they kept the journey.
Yeah,
it's a simple story.
As far as it only felt forward.
Yeah, because it felt like you were following along with it, which is cool.
Which is a good movie structure to have. I like when movies can just have a simple. If there's too many things going on, sometimes it gets a little jumbled.
Yeah, but think about it, all it was from going from point A to point B.
It really was, yeah, that was it.
Would you have a favorite shot?
Favorite shot?
I don't know if there's really any scenes in this movie as much as it is shots.
My favorite shot is probably when they're like right after he gets shot in the head and like he wakes up and then he looks out and the city's just like on fire. And it's just like it looks like it's daytime but it's not. And you're like, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
Like I had
That's
no
true,
clue
though.
like where it would turn.
That lighting was kind of cool because it was like at night and then like you could kind of see the shadows and stuff. I think one of my favorite scenes was probably him running through the city.
Yeah.
Because it's like immediately he was like once he was caught, like he was literally just evading people. Like anytime he could have got shot and down.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the coolest like game of tag. Like he's just like he's just booking through the city. The music was good.
Super lucky.
And he just
jumps off the
bridge. Like I don't care how high that bridge is. You're just jumping off because you got.
Yeah, well, you can't not.
It's like Wayne, like you're like I'm literally being chased.
I think my favorite scene was when he climbs out of the trench, just book it towards the commander.
That was dope.
And so everyone's running. So everyone's running this way, and he's running this way. Like I don't even know if you can.
He knocks people over.
And so he's
They
running,
just
and then,
don't give up. They don't get up.
Well, and then like
so funny.
Well, then like there's like all the explosions going on around him. He's just sprinting. Like I'm like.
Well, I love to like he's preempted because they're all about to go, and the one of the commanders is like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You get down," and he stop, and then he just like, "You're not gonna make it." And he just goes. He's the first one over too. I just love that. And he's like, "All right."
Well, so because I can only imagine like it's like man, I finally made it, and then they're already going. You know, like
they were just at the first wave too. Is that what you said? Like,
they were the first wave.
But they were in the midst of.
No, I think they were sending the second.
I thought.
No, the second wave was the people behind him, and they went from the second wave people to the first wave people who were in the
Gotcha
trench.
on the front, so they were like the.
So they were like,
yeah.
So I mean, people already died, obviously, because I can only imagine too, like how long it takes, like because that's important information too.
Again, the communication again.
So I was like, when you call it off, like you already sent, a couple hundred soldiers probably off to their deaths.
Imagine how many lives he saved that maybe influenced a war in the future or a battle in the future
True,
because probably every single one of those guys.
It's like it's just like the ripple effect, It's like you never know, like how many lives they changed or touched, even like their families,
Right.
Like what if that was one of my ancestors?
Right.
Wow. Right here.
Oh,
the butterfly effect? Is that what it's called?
Butterfly effect.
The chaos theory or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
every little moving part.
I
and that's why Doctor Strange is the time stone, so he can control the time. Hold on, stop.
That's why it's important.
Okay, I'm done.
Well,
back to the Marvel universe.
Wasn't this is all just an elaborate scam?
All movies are related.
Did he say? Okay, I feel like I read something about the director saying that this wasn't based on necessarily like one true story, but it was like his ancestor or something.
It was like his great grandpa.
It was like in World War One.
In World War One.
So I don't know if this is like specifically one story, but it was like
no, I thought it was his great grandpa's story. Mm-hmm. That's what it said at the end of the movie, I think.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's why it was like such a big deal, and you could put so much emotion to it.
But that's like I think that's why I love war movies is because like I think we know how important it is. We're so grateful for those like who actually served and did. Yeah. Like we can't like, you know what I mean? But it's like real stuff. Like that's like.
And it makes you
as real as life gets, I think like war's right there. Like it's just.
Yeah, think about how many of our ancestors today are World War veterans or any war veterans.
Yeah.
Like both my grandpas fought in the Vietnam War.
Vietnam War.
I don't know.
I don't know if I have any, at least that I know of.
Yeah.
I got that family history.
Whoops. I know. I'm trying to think. I don't even know if I have any family members like in the military.
Nothing?
I don't know. I'm sure I do somewhere. I just can't do it off the top of my head.
No, it's true. I earlier, but like probably like a few months ago, I'd actually watched a video on some of the things of how they shot it. Like I didn't like it was kind of a short video, but they did have the scene where he was running like against everyone else.
Yes, sir.
And I think the thing is they were talking about like how since they had to do one long shot, like everyone had to have like kind of some of their positions like it's like obviously like all scripted, but I think a couple of the guys he ran into, like he was either maybe a little slow or like on accident, like kind of ran in, but so they kind of had to just like add that with it.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of looking for that
scene.
Because it's like it's hard to like do the whole thing, and so they're like you just kind of have to go. And so I think one of like the first guys he hits, you can see him, he goes, and I think he tries to run a little faster to kind of get back to like his
regular spot.
I just remember them saying because like they had a big overview of like how they shot it, like all right, go, and like they kind of had him running and had like people.
I want to look that up after. That sounds interesting.
So it's been a while since I've seen it, so I might have gotten that a little wrong, but I remember them saying that like they're like, oh yeah, one of the takes like he had to do it, so he had to keep going. But
I mean, it makes sense though.
I just think I can give props to the movie more. It goes up, I think, just in my appreciation, just because of how all the planning, to it. Because it's like you're not just doing like one scene. And it's like, okay, we just do this, and we're cutting here and there. It's like a short, like like two actors in a room. We're just doing a quick scene.
Yeah.
It was like
it took a lot more planning.
All the troops involved. All it's like, okay, you got to run. Like all those guys just carrying people. I was just thinking like there's a bunch of just like extras just going like, all right, run past him, run here, go here. Yeah. Don't hit the camera. Like cause it's it's like I don't know how they.
Who was the person who did the score?
Who did the score?
I don't know. I looked him up. I didn't know him though.
Did you guys like it? I thought it was good.
Good.
Nothing like it's out of
I
the,
don't think there's anything iconic about
extraordinary,
it.
but it was like
Yeah.
it did what a movie score had to be. Intense it needed to be, emotional it needed to be.
Yeah.
Thomas Newman. Oh, I know Thomas Newman. I don't know him.
What did Thomas Newman do?
Skyfall.
Wally.
Really?
Seen
Help.
Skyfall.
No.
My bad.
Quite a few.
Well, his most famous one is Skyfall and Wally. And this probably.
Interesting. Okay.
They're always decent.
We can look more.
We can also talk about the song they sing in the show. The one that was kind of like Pippin's song.
Ryan loves that. That's true. In the woods.
If you know the name of the song, please put it down below.
Comment down below, please.
I think it's like something like a wayfaring man or something
Dude,
like that.
I just read that. Hold on, I'll tell you what it is.
The
Give it to us,
wayfaring,
give it to us,
poor
give it to us.
wayfaring
I
stranger.
am a poor wayfaring stranger.
Wow,
Arranged by Craig Leon, performed by
I-
Joe Slovic.
I deducted that from the words. That's not what it is.
Look at you, huh?
What would it be called?
Look at you.
Kinda cool.
All right.
You crazy thing.
Interesting. I like that part. I also like the part where he read the poem. That was at the very beginning.
You did, yeah.
Let's look at some trivia, shall we?
Some trivia.
It took 6 months for
This
the actors.
is our trivia moment.
It took 6 months for the actors to rehearse. Sorry. Okay, so it took 6 months for the actors to rehearse the movie before shooting started.
Wow.
Shoot.
They had
Makes
to
sense.
rehearse. It was more like a play than a movie. But
It
a
says,
recording of the movie. That was a
Wow,
play.
there are dozens of invisible edits concealed by transitions through black, moves behind objects, and so on.
I cannot imagine the editing.
It's got to be so.
The shortest unbroken shot was 39 seconds long. The longest single continuous shot was 8.5 minutes long.
Wow.
That's pretty
8.5
cool.
minutes for
I'm
a
proud of them.
movie.
Proud of
Wow,
them.
about a mile of trenches were actually dug for the movie.
That's dope. See stuff like that where it's like they just keep panning, and I'm like, they
Yeah.
had to build this. Like,
Yeah, they had to build it. They had to build that underground thing.
I'm sure there's any other really
Yeah,
cool
that's right.
ones.
That's actually crazy.
That's dedication.
Well, because I think you can tell too. Like, there's something. Yeah, it's like what Ryan was saying. Like, they'll go behind objects, or they'll pan it like
Yeah.
a little bit fast, and it's
Just
kind of like a
slowly.
way to like. Those are the ways to kind of be like the transitions or the cuts or the
Yeah.
proper where they
It's interesting how they did
those small clever ways to kind of
trick the eye.
do it. Well, should we?
Yeah, well, sorry, and then the last thing. So it says the plot involving the two men in delivering a message is very accurate. Soldiers were hired as runners to deliver a message on upcoming attacks, but due to the dangers and walking through mud on average, by the time the message was delivered, it was already too late to stop the attacks.
Jeez.
That is sad and depressing. And probably too, because like you can say like, oh, it's probably gonna take them a couple days to get there, but you don't
Yeah.
actually know if A, it's gonna take them that long, or B, if you know, because like if you're under German fire, like you can't just sprint and go. You know, you have to be a little more
Seriously.
careful.
The amount of obstruction.
Even like can we like just real quick the point like their first journey like up over the ledge, like how scary that would have been. Like they're literally in uncharted territories of being like, well, let's hope we're
What's gonna
good.
be here? Yeah.
Because like before they're like with all their soldiers. And,
Yeah,
and
it's
then-
like it's one thing, but you're like all right. Here's the end of the line. Like
Yeah.
go up over. Like I would just that's
You're the
such a
only
scary,
two
like,
things to shoot at.
Like,
But you're gonna get
They
hit.
climb up that little ladder thing.
I know, and then you're just like you're going from place to place.
You know, or-
All right, let's give our ratings.
Let's do it.
All right.
Who's first? I don't know who went first last time.
I don't either.
Comment down below who went first.
I'm gonna-
No,
We'll
let's
get on the
do
live
it.
stream.
Let's
We'll
do
get on
it
the live
at the
we all
same
did that at
time.
the same time.
Yeah.
Stuart didn't like that, I don't think.
Stu didn't like it.
I don't
Sorry.
think we.
Stuart, we're sorry.
I don't think we liked it.
I don't think we liked it either. To be honest, either.
I guess
Stuart still.
Let me
gets a shot.
wait. Do you have a pulled or other one pulled? I have to see real quick.
Here, I
We're
put him
not-
on the side.
I always gotta get a comparison. I have an idea, but
It's interesting.
Wait, where did you put that?
what's
on the right side of it.
what's this
Kind of
one?
shows an average.
Oh, right.
Man,
Thank you
It's
so
just
much.
more well organized.
Oh, so you're better
what
than
I
me.
made.
No, I need the other data first.
Instead of the average score.
Yeah, and it has the average. Holmes's average is 5.5 so far. Ryan's is 5.6. Thomas's is 6.6.
Sounds about right.
Interesting.
So what I'm hearing is that you two have more closer opinions than I do.
That data proves.
Except for the outlier.
No,
is
don't
92,
bring
92.
it up. Don't you dare bring
I
it up.
have to bring it up. The fans will release me eventually.
All right, let's do this. Okay.
The fans will
All right.
set
Fans
me
got my
free.
back.
The fans will set me free.
All right, Holmes, what's your I'm gonna time you on your phone so I can type the data on this one.
Oh, so my phone now, huh?
Yes.
Okay, bud.
That's a good question.
Sport.
Would I prefer to watch this over the Courier? I think that's what
I
I'm
know,
gonna
that's
be
what it's
basing
kinda
this on.
hard
All right. Ryan? Holmes, who wants to go first?
Let's double check my courier real quick.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's
Your
a whole big
Courier
thing.
rating was 5.8.
Yikes.
Wow.
Looking back at these
He,
things,
just,
it's
he
so
talks
low.
about the Courier as if he liked it, but it's a 5.8.
Well,
Because it wasn't realistic.
I know. I thought it was realistic. Everything after 5
you have
is
nothing
good.
above 6 besides Jurassic Park.
No, what you mean? We got above 6. Yeah. Easy. I've been a little hard in movies. I've been a little
All
hard.
right,
in
Ryan,
movies.
you go first. Ryan, or Holden's been kind of dumb, so.
I'm gonna go.
I was double checking.
I'm saying mine.
Okay, go.
I'm going with 7. Exactly what I gave the Courier.
Solid 7.
Well, my pips in.
Yeah.
There are reasons. Okay, can I go for 30 seconds?
Ready? Wait.
Technical difficulties.
Go.
There are reasons why I would watch this over the Courier, but there's also reasons why I would watch the Courier over this. But I think this is more realistic to like drawing out emotion from what war feels like and kind of helping people relate better to that. But I think I actually like the score of the Courier better. If that makes sense, of course. Other things, I like World War I a lot. I love the planes and everything, so that's just what I'm gonna stop with.
So it's the planes.
He is with the planes.
Filler space, that's filler space.
Well, it's good. It is a cool aspect. I'll give you that. All right, do you want me to go next, or do you want to go next, Holmes?
You go next.
Do you seconds to think about it?
You go next.
Okay, I am giving it a. So if the Courier, I'm basing it wasn't off the Courier. I'm giving mine
Get off the Courier.
a
War
7.4.
You're giving this a 7.4.
Yes, I like the Courier better.
What'd you give the Courier?
What's the Courier?
7.8.
Wow. You like the Courier better.
I did like the Courier better.
Wow.
It's
They're
that
pretty
high.
even for me. They're pretty even for me.
All right, ready, go. So I do like this a lot. I do like the realisticness of it. I feel like it's pretty accurate, although I've never been to World War One. I don't know if there's a high rewatchability rate though for it. And also, you're right, the score isn't as iconic. I like the score better in the Courier. I'm trying to think what else to say.
We really hate the Courier.
I loved like the idea that the continuous shot, which is very, very unique. But once again, I feel like this is kind of the movie where I only need to really watch like once or twice in my life. Like I don't need to watch it anymore. But it was a good film.
Interesting.
All right, Holmes. There's no getting away from it now.
I know. I need a clean slate of my movies.
Wipe them clean.
Wipe them clean.
Delete
just
every
start
episode
from
since.
Because I'm all over the place now. Okay, I'd give 1917.
A 19.17.
Let's see what I did there.
That's a high score.
A 1.917.
I'm gonna give it a 6.8.
6.8.
608.
I really like. Okay, sorry.
Ready, go.
I really liked it.
End of story.
That was all. No, I enjoyed the realism of it. I liked the one shot was new and it was well done. You know, I mean, they tried to do something a little different and they pulled it off, and so I can appreciate that. It was very simple, story driven. The two characters are really, really great to follow, and it had some good intense moments, some great beautiful shots. But it's not my favorite war movie compared to other war movies, but it's still pretty good for a war movie. I like that.
What's your favorite war movie currently?
That is tough because the thing is we watched a bunch, so I can't quite remember all like.
Yeah.
I really like
All
American
that were-
Sniper.
American Sniper was really good.
I really like.
I like the Red Baron. That's one.
I've never seen that one.
It's pretty good.
Add to the list.
That's another
We'll have to have our because
World War One movie.
I want to watch Saving Private Ryan. Too.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
That's
I really like Lone Survivor
I think we have
and.
that written
Lone
down.
Survivor was really
Have
good.
you guys seen Hacksaw Ridge?
Have
Maybe
you
I
seen
haven't. Maybe I
Dunkirk?
haven't seen that one.
No, I
Dunkirk,
haven't seen
Midway.
that. And we got okay.
Okay, maybe throw that back. I have not seen a ton of war movies,
War
so maybe
section.
we need to get it deep in because
I've
those are some
seen
of my favorites.
I've seen more war movies that are based on more modern wars. How about that? Like I've seen
That's
like
fair, yeah.
Lone Survivor, American Sniper-esque era.
I've seen it
wars.
all the other way around. I've seen more older movies.
The older ones.
Well, that's why we're here, you guys.
It's precious.
Together, we could only hold hands.
Let us know if you liked this format a little better. Also, want to see the audio because
We actually don't
We're a
know.
little far away, but we trusted it because we're together.
But we want to try it out. We want to try some new things out. So comment down below, like and subscribe.
What are our fans called? The releasers?
Yeah.
I just came up with it on the slide, guys.
Comment down below. Don't stop with
If
it.
you have a good fan name, write down below.
I don't know. We'll,
For right now, you're the releasers, so beat that. You don't like that?
I don't.
the releasees. Holmes, that's even
The
worse.
daters.
The relicers.
The daters.
Yikes.
Anyway,
The
love
ladies.
you, Marin.
Shout out to Marin again.
Shout out to Marin.
And still, don't forget Stewie.
Harper. Okay,
This is Holmes.
Harper.
this is Thomas,
This is Ryan.
and this has been
Release date.
Release date.
You know how many times we've done that?
We done release date. We watch it so you don't have to.
Ew. All
I'm
right.
still trying to get that thing in.